Hello, I'm the Media Wiz, because when art form wasn't enough. So, you're probably aware of the little bet that me and the other guys on the channel have right now. We're going to have to look at stuff that we wouldn't usually look at throughout the course of the month. And for this week's review, I have to look at something Blockbusters would talk about with something anime-related. And I think I got just the thing. So I haven't done many anime-related reviews for my series. Over the years, I've talked about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie for a Tribute Zone video, the MLP manga, and 2 soundtracks for Pokemon and Sailor Moon. After mentioning tons of different merchandise and spin-off media, I ended the Sailor Moon album review by hinting at what we're going to be talking about today. With every franchise out there, there's plenty of bad stuff we could have talked about for Sailor Moon.
So, this is what I missed the dance for? You guys are in for it, and if I break a nail, you're really in for it.
Thankfully, we are not reviewing that next time. So since it's anime-related, I figured it'd be more than appropriate to talk about it for this week's review. After all, this was a failed attempt at trying to bring one of the most popular anime of the 90s to a Western audience. While I was doing my research, this apparently wasn't the first time either. At some point in the early 90s, Disney talked about doing a live-action movie based on the original manga and anime series, however, that never went anywhere. Instead, Toei ended up making a live-action series in 2003, nearly a decade later. But before that came out, there was an attempt at making a half live-action, half animated series based on Sailor Moon for American audiences. Created by Renaissance Atlantic Entertainment, Bandai, and Toon Makers, the pilot was thrown together and put out in 1994. While keeping a lot of the key elements of the story and most of the characters, there was an insane pilot that was mostly legend amongst the Sailor Moon fandom and anime conventions everywhere. After not getting the green light, the footage was stored away with production cells in a storage facility by the director and writer of the project. However, in 2022, it was finally unveiled to the world on YouTube by documentarian Ray Mona. A piece of what was once lost media was finally discovered and accessible for the world to see. And now we're talking about it for today's review. Now, one more thing before we begin. This is not like a lot of other pilots I've covered. This is what they call a proof of concept pilot, meaning it doesn't really follow a consistent plot like a typical episode of any given series. Some pilots like Gravinians are bad, but they're at least finished for the most part. Some pilots like Wonder Woman 2011 never got finished. This one, on the other hand, feels more like a tech demo, showing off key locations and characters without any real story. But hey, if video games like Battletoads and comics like Wonder Woman can get notoriously bad pilots, I guess anime and manga like Sailor Moon can as well. This is the Sailor Moon pilot from 1994, also known as Toon Makers Sailor Moon and Saban Moon, even though Saban Entertainment wasn't directly connected to this, other than Renaissance Atlantic Entertainment was connected to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which Saban owned. Let's just get on with it. We begin with a narration about the typical Sailor Moon backstory. There's a Queen Serenity, and she has a daughter named Sailor Moon, and her friends are princesses of each of the universe's planets who make up the Sailor Scouts, you know, the usual affair. All the while, we get CG planets that probably looked very impressive back in 1994. You know, if you forget that Jurassic Park came out a year before this. Anyway, we zoom in to see the wedding of Sailor Moon and Prince Darien of Earth.
A great celebration was held on the moon to honor the momentous occasion.
Yes, clearly evident by the empty bleachers in the background.
Sailor Moon was surrounded by her closest friends, the Princess Warriors. Sailor Mars, Sailor Mercury, Sailor Venus, and Sailor Jupiter.
Oh, so these are this show's version of the Sailor Scouts. Okay, well, I guess it's an interesting interpretation of the character. Oh, how hashtag brave and hashtag bold of you. As an ally myself, I just gotta say, I find this incredibly hashtag woke on their part. Good job, 1994. Yes, of course. Thank you for that. But before the wedding can go off without a hitch, in enters, an evil version of that blue alien girl from the Buzz Lightyear cartoon. Oh wait, is that supposed to be Queen Beryl?
We must stop them!
Princesses, to your sky flyers!
You and the other princesses must escape with Darien to Earth. But there's no time to explain. You princesses now possess the most powerful pendants in the universe. Guard them with your lives. Escape into the vortex. There you can hide in a different dimension. Beryl cannot follow.
So the Sailor Scouts fly off on these Wind Rider-looking things, and this show's version of Luna, who is a white cat instead of a black cat, yes, they actually got something that basic wrong in this version. Well, I guess if anything, Sabrina the Teenage Witch did the whole mentor black cat character thing way better than this did just 2 years later. Anyway, yeah, this version of Luna joins them on their journey to Earth.
We must reach the galleon before it's too late. Watch out!
Nice line delivery, lady.
Watch out!
Watch out. Okay, so after that stellar piece of animation, I think it's appropriate to pause and actually talk about the animation itself. I know they were trying to make this closer to Western-style character designs and all, so I'm not upset that all the characters aren't just blatant recreations of the original character designs. But oh my god, this looks more like an 80s Saturday morning cartoon. This is less Sailor Moon and more rejected He-Man and She-Ra background characters. And I get they probably didn't have much of a budget to work with on this thing, but as far as the animation is concerned, oh yeah, it's on par with those sloppy knockoff Hanna-Barbera cartoons from 10 years prior. Anyway, let's move away from the animation. Let's see what some of the live-action segments have to offer.
Oh, Luna. Home seems so far away now.
Hey, Vic. Vicky. Victoria. Can I borrow your lipstick?
What? Sure.
Okay, so not only is Luna a white cat in this version, but Sailor Moon's Earth name is Victoria instead of Usagi or Serena. And in this version, the girls are all living in an all-girls academy, going by their matching uniforms.
Where are you going? Don't tell me you forgot.
Whoa! There goes one of my 9 lives.
The tan!
Oh god, they're gonna have a fashion montage, aren't they?
Looks like an angel flying higher than a bird. Sailor, Sailor Moon. She's got a life in the sky and another here on earth. Sailor, Sailor Moon.
This whole segment was one of the many things that made people curious about the pilot's existence. It goes on for quite a while, it feels incredibly out of nowhere, it's cliche even for 1994, with the type of music and the girls dancing around, trying on exaggerated clothes and making goofy reaction faces, and oh dear god, the dialogue.
Honest, should I be smashing in white or sophisticated in black?
What happened to pretty in pink?
Statistically speaking, I am going to find the cutest guy at the dance.
And no, you won't.
And why not?
Because he'll be dancing with me. I have absolutely nothing to wear.
Anyway, Luna breaks up this little music video, alerting them that the planet Jupiter is in danger. So now we get even more production value with tacky 90s green screen effects, more crappy CGI, and the overly long transformation sequences that people would joke about in relation to Sailor Moon. All the girls make it there, and we get some more cheesy dialogue that would make the Deke dub of Sailor Moon blush.
So, this is what I missed the dance for? You guys are in for it. And if I break a nail, you're really in for it.
Because she's a girl. And it was the 90s.
Why don't we have a party right here?
Sounds good to me, but I think these guys are too out of shape to dance. Why don't we burn off a few pounds?
A little high voltage, boys.
Gangway for the original party girl. Oh, I like your style.
Good job with your one-liners there, girls. Captain Planet and the Planeteers would be so proud of you.
Uh-oh. This creep is mine. Take that, tall, dark, and gruesome.
Watch out!
Are you alright?
I know this was a pilot, but would it seriously kill any of you to seem like you're enthused in the middle of this dramatic action sequence? Hey, you know who I'd like to see show up in this pilot? Tuxedo Mask. I wonder if they're gonna have him show up in this.
A rose. Look. Who can it be?
Hey, there he is, and he doesn't have a top hat like he did in the original for some reason. And hey, what do you know? They even remembered Sailor Moon's famous tiara move. If anything, at least they remembered most of the important stuff, I guess. So they defeat the monster, Tuxedo Mask disappears into the night like he always does, and we end with another live-action segment that feels like it's straight out of a cheesy sitcom, minus the laugh track.
Where are you daydreaming this time, Victoria? Outer space?
No, Miss Scrim. I'm right here. On Earth.
So that was incredibly strange. Man, this was fascinatingly bad. A lot of the bad should be pretty obvious. Cheap animation, paper-thin characterization, wooden acting, attempts at being cool and hip with the times, and when it's not busting out obvious footnotes in the Sailor Moon handbook, there's just a bunch of things that were changed for no real reason. The idea of a new group of Sailor Scouts could work. Hell, the Extreme Ghostbusters did it in the early 2000s with a diverse, interesting, entertaining group of new characters to a beloved IP. But here, there's no plot to flesh out these characters, and each of them just feel like interchangeable, unnamed teen girl stereotypes, talking about boys and fashion and such. I think that's the worst thing about this pilot, its lack of structure, even for a proof-of-concept pilot. It just barely gets any of the key elements out of the way. Hell, the Hell of a Boss pilot was basically a series of vignettes, and it still had way better structure than this did. All that being said, I can't say that this is the worst pilot I've ever seen. Mainly because it's way too funny with a lot of its flaws and foibles. It's nowhere as mean-spirited as Wonder Woman 2011 or Battletoads, nor is it as painful as Bubsy or the Groovenians. So, like many others have said before me, I think this totally falls into the so bad it's good category. So poorly made, so dated, and so cheesy, it makes it an interesting watch, even if it's out of sheer morbid curiosity. Plus, there are still way worse things related to Sailor Moon compared to this. I mean, at least we didn't talk about Sailor Moon and the Seven Balls or something like that. And if you have no idea what that is, do yourself a favor and do not look it up. Please, I beg of you, whatever you do for your own sanity, do not look it up. Anyway, next time we'll be looking at a religious movie, but until then, I'm the Media Wiz, because one art form wasn't enough.